Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Thursday morning over here, the day after CPI. CPI indeed breaking the market, now breaking to the upside. And how does that fit into the overall models and what essentially to expect next that we have been looking at for the past couple weeks here? Anyways, other than that, I've been doing a lot of updates on Instagram recently, especially during more volatile and fun days, dare I say, like yesterday. So if you happen to give a care, well, there is a link in the description below. And I suspect without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so starting off right on over here, this was the big chart that we've been following on for especially the last few days, going back to the 5th and about the 5th of August right here, as we did start to bake in yet another signal on this volatility versus stochastic chart right here. So what essentially is the signal? Well, first things first, it is a volatility represented by this moving metric that my cursor is currently tracing over. That is essentially an HVP, or read that as volatility of stochastic momentum. And then of course, this is the stochastic momentum oscillator itself. Anyways, the signal is anytime that we have seen it get down to extreme lows, which I define as basically anything around where these green vertical bars are postured at, as you can see right here, the expansion phase from those extreme lows has led to an average move of about 28 or very close to 29% right here, done over the course of 10 days, so relatively fast. And the stochastic momentum oscillator has gone the correct direction on that volatility expansion just under 89% of the time. So pretty high hit rate in this case, and we have yet another one right in front of our face. Anyways, this has been back tested for the past year and a half now, and the signals have been very, very consistent within this fashion. So the thing is that Bitcoin did hold above the stochastic momentum pivot yesterday. It was actually like close to almost $1,000 below when I recorded the video yesterday. So obviously I was going to be leading to the downside as Bitcoin was obviously below the momentum pivot, but without resolution. Now we actually do have resolution, or so it does seem. I think maybe barring PPI today, maybe, but in this case right here, very, 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 very similar to what we saw even on like the last couple signals, as you can see on this particular one, which we called out in June. That was the June dumpola from about 30,000 to just under 20,000 bucks. In this case, you see the HVP actually kind of level off at the lows, and then as it starts to actually get its footing, we see the momentum oscillator start to turn around, and that was your big bad 38 and change move to the downside, all the way below 20,000 bucks. Same thing over here. I think this is another great example, as you can see, and we do see it level off in these extreme lows. That first tick is to the upside, aka expansion, and the momentum oscillator was of course postured to the downside. That one wasn't a humongous move right there, only about 10%, or only but done over the course of 10 days. So my main message is that these moves, once they do get confirmed, typically happen relatively fast, between let's say 7 to 14 days, on average about 10 days. We have seen as low as 5 days, I think. Yeah, about 5 days. Sorry, actually 2 days, which is definitely an outlier over here, but the majority of them definitely coming in within that 1 to 2 week range essentially. Anyways, in this case, we can now play around with numbers in a few different ways, as we again have observed an average move about just under 29%. If we take that from the actual signal given, which would be right here, should be right about here, where does 29% put Bitcoin at? That would put Bitcoin at about 29,000 bucks. Of course, there's some variance within these reads. Some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, but in this case, you will notice that's exactly where the last CME gap is from that daily breakdown that we saw in June, from again 30,000 to ultimately under 20,000 bucks. On top of that, 10 days probably puts us where? Probably puts us around end of August, or I guess sorry, no, not kind of the end of August, but like somewhere in the, the 4th week of August, I do think starts to look rather ripe for that. And then also, if we throw a fib on this, taking this last dumpola, or that last sort of consolidation that we saw in June, to our current lows, well, do we see anything of interest right here? Yeah, we do. We do see that the 786 Fibonacci retracement is right around that $29,000 region. We see the 618 is actually in about mid $26,000 region right there. So a couple of areas of interest if and when Bitcoin does get going here. And then I want to combine that with this chart over here. So again, keep in mind that just because that is the average move doesn't mean that Bitcoin's like definitely going to get exactly there. Obviously, there's going to be some variance in that. It could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less. I mean, it could be above 30, could be, maybe closer to like 27. So let's go look at another model over here to kind of get a little bit more color on this picture. And this is one of my more favorite charts, actually. This is the weekly Pmarp mean reversion chart. So first off, what is the Pmarp indicator? It is an indicator that measures the distance that price action is away from the current moving average that I've specified, which is a 20 period VWMA with 100 look back in this case. case. I don't always use that, by the way, for this particular setup. I do, and that is because we're backtesting all the way throughout the full history of Bitcoin, going all the way back to the genesis, and it's actually been pretty damn consistent in this case. Once we get to extreme lows, which I define as below 2 percentile on this indicator, a lot of the time it bases off for a while. In this case, we're looking at a weekly, like it can base off for a month or two, really. And the expansion phase from these extreme lows has led to an average mean reversion play of about 59% done over the course of 53.5 days. 53.5 days is very, very interesting right here, because if we take that from the current low, we are literally at the end of this week will be 56 days away from that time. So we're starting to, we are in the average now. And, again, there's going to be some variance there. There's going to be some that are higher, some that are low. This one's probably going to be a little bit higher. So it would suggest that while, Bitcoin might have a little bit more to go here, we probably are looking at the end of this from a time perspective, relatively soon. Probably, I'd say no more than like early September, late August in this case. Anyways, just put in perspective, we go to, let's say, the first week of September, that'd be 84 days. So that's starting to get pretty fucking far away from the mean. Have we seen 84 days in the past? Yeah, we certainly have, but they don't happen all that often. And as far as the actual reversion play goes, 59%, again, keeping in mind that there's some variance in these. If we were to play 59% off of the current low, this is for spot price action, which the low is 17.5. 59% puts you at about 27 to 27.5 thousand bucks. So again, a little bit above there, a little bit below there, but we're starting to come up with ranges and areas of interest to the upside. Big one is going to be 26.5 thousand bucks. The next one is going to be like a little bit over 27, and then you got 29,000 bucks as well, with specific interest on the $29,000 because there is just several confluences within that region, at least for my own purposes. Anyways, I also wanted to address something else. I think that the majority of people in this community totally get this. So hey, good on you. That's fucking awesome. But it is very interesting when we talk about these sort of statistics. Understand that statistics are not the same thing as certainty. So sometimes I like read comments where it's like, looks like the indicators didn't work this time, bro. It's like, okay, well, actually they did, which is, so that's just wrong. But of course, there is going to be points when they do not work. I mean, in this case, this has a pretty high hit rate, obviously, once it gets going, but that is not a 100% hit rate, certainly not the same thing. Weird things do happen. Black swan events will naturally occur over time. 10 sigma events, are reality. So, of course, these averages do not represent like the exact fucking number. So anyways, I'm probably just talking to probably shouldn't even mention it. I do think that the majority of people on this channel definitely get that. So that is really, really cool to see. Anyways, let's move on now and let's go into and follow up on the daily signals over here. There were several things of particular interest. First and foremost, daily BBWP is expanding off extreme lows. It got all the way down even below 1 percentile in this case. And the last time we saw something comparably low like this was back on over in April. Now, April was obviously a downside move. Volatility is direction neutral in this case, but and we start to see this momentum oscillators point to the upside, it's going to look a lot more likely that we see that also come into the upside. Anyways, another comparable iteration would be over here in January. Again, another one that was to the downside, obviously. But, just measuring these past two moves, which I should actually do a full-on statistical analysis of this, which I'll have ready for tomorrow. Let me actually get this right. There we go. That's a 24.5% move right there. I think I've actually already done this one, in fact, as well. And then this one over here is actually a rather big one, 36.5%, as you can see. So, these are likely big moves. On top of that, the daily jewel, the DMI has been supporting the whole way through. It actually got a long signal, what is this, yesterday? Yeah, I think so. And then if we go reference our stochastic momentum over here, then we should come up with some areas of interest for the shorter term time frame. So in this case, we can look at the hourly. The hourly is going to be showing upside momentum, technically speaking, as long as Bitcoin's above 24.5. Keep in mind, this is pretty extreme right here, so really wouldn't be asking for too much if Bitcoin does have a short-term pullback. We'll go over areas of interest in the meantime, soon enough. The 4-hour time frame is still vertical above 23.2, so that is actually quite good right there. 12-hour is also going to be upside postured as long as Bitcoin's above 24,320, and daily for spot price action is pivoted at 23,750. So here's the thing. This signal over here is active. Again, sorry, I'm referencing that first signal that we started this video with. It's still active as long as Bitcoin's above basically 23,000 bucks. So that is the big area to be watchful of. Of course, things can fail. We've certainly seen that in the certainly seen that in the past. But in this case, the failure criteria would be below 23,000 bucks on a daily closing basis. Until then, does Bitcoin have another leg here? I'd say, statistically speaking, more likely than not. The question is, how high does it get? And then I want to reiterate my stance that while Bitcoin, probably does have another leg here, I would still be cautious that this is, just a bear market rally. But just because it's a bear market rally doesn't mean it can't rally up, significantly. All right, sweet. Oh, and maybe we just quickly check this off as well. I wanted to reference Dixie over here. Dixie breaking down and likely does reach somewhere around about 103.75, around that 21 exponential average, just kind of playing out this regular bearish divergence. This is the bearish divergence that we want to see, not the one that I called out yesterday, which was daily over here, which was, not even in the bullish control zone. So the caution against that was warranted, I would say. But in this case, this probably does trade a little bit further to the south side. We do see a clear and obvious rejection on the monthly. So I would be looking for a consolidation a little bit sideways, a little bit down, and then it's time to look for higher lows, unfortunately, on Dixie. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for today. Do you have anything else to shill? I think Bybit, yes, they're offering 50% off of their options. So if you do trade options, then they're, it's just, less transaction fees on your own behalf. If you use the link in the description below, I believe that does run until either end of September or end of October, something like that. And then what else? Then we got a little competition over here as well. Anyways, I'll sign off on that note. Want to be sending out much love as always. Take care and see you hopefully soon.